Welcome to Season 3 of the Brooklyn Fishing Club podcast. My name is Victor Lucia, founder and president of the Brooklyn Fishing Club. You can learn more about our club at brooklynfishingclub.com, including info on membership, upcoming events, fishing trips, and more. This episode is sponsored by Charlie's Sandwich Shop, located at 9216 3rd Ave in Brooklyn. Their sandwiches are some of the best I've ever had. I highly recommend the shrimp parm they make every Friday. It's out of this world. It's been tough, to say the least, for restaurants since COVID hit. Go to Charlie's and show some support. The food is delicious.
Just waiting for you.
On this episode, we're joined by Mike Sudal, a renowned illustrator and hardcore angler. He's been fishing in the New York City area and beyond for over 20 years and has some great stories to share with us. Hey, Mike, how's it going, man? Yeah, man, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. How you been doing overall?
No, definitely. You know, just one Corona week at a time. Everybody's healthy, and it hasn't.
You've been getting
it's been
some
all
fishing
right.
in?
Can't complain. Yeah, I have. I've been pretty much sticking to being hyper local. Since everything started, just fishing. I live on City Island, New York, in the Bronx. So I've been fishing just City Island, limiting myself to here for
What have you been
most
catching
of
up
the year.
there?
It's
Because
been a pretty
we
good
actually
time.
have a skiff trip, my bad, coming up on August 15th out of Jack's. We do it every year. It's our sixth annual one.
Nice.
Every year we rent more and more skiffs. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, you should come this year.
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
definitely.
No way.
We do like a
I'll
little
have to join
fun
you guys for
tournaments.
that, for
Who catches the
sure.
biggest porgy?
Absolutely.
Everybody has little team on their skiff. It's fun.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah, you're in for this year for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I am. I'll maybe live line a few of those
it's
porgies
really
and see
biggest
what eats
fish
them.
wins, but it's usually porgies is what we catch the most of.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's I've been striper fishing. And I've been sometimes I kayak fish, I do other things here, but I've just been fishing off the surf, off the beaches here. And I haven't got anything big, but there's a lot of fish and a lot of weird little things that I've picked up about the island that I've only been living for 5 years, and usually top best parts of the season I'm fishing somewhere else. And I also got two little kids, so my time's kind of limited, but I got to learn a lot about the island and catch a lot of feisty stripers, and
Nice.
basically have
Do
the
you
water
do
myself, which
fly
is pretty
fishing
nice.
as well?
I do.
Uh-huh.
I mostly spin fish in salt. It's just, it's I love fly fishing. I love everything about fly fishing, but it's also the best tool for the job when you're fishing, right? Like, man, I sometimes striper fishing is so hard alone that I couldn't imagine that, kicking it
Mhm.
up a few notches, trying to catch them on the fly. You just cover so much more water with the spinning rod, and so many different water levels and depths and things like that. So, when they're in, we got a good wind and the fish are right against the rocks, I'll switch to my fly rod and have a lot of fun with them. But if I'm out there
Yeah.
just messing
Yeah,
around,
I've
I'm
never
usually with my
actually,
spinning rod.
out of all the
You know,
places I've been and different ways that I've fished, that's the only one I haven't done. I've kite fished, I've ice fished, like all of that, but I've never picked up a fly rod yet. Maybe when I get a little bored of this spin fishing game. But yeah, probably.
that's what happens. As you catch
Yeah, I
enough
believe
fish that
that.
you're like, let
I
me try
believe
it a
that.
different way.
The most luck I have out on City Island, especially with the skiffs, is just using little diamond jigs. You just catch anything with them, man. It's great.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
company
They
even
love
makes
diamond
diamond
jigs out
jigs? Like,
here
I feel like
for sure.
they're just like this anomaly of like they
You
just
got me.
appear in tackle shops. It's just been around for so long. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
probably
I might
somebody's
as well start
basement,
making my own at this point. But yeah, let's start by talking about your rise from the early days of being a kid, drawing your first fishing log, to your latest accomplishment, being featured on
Yeah,
Meateater. Yeah, can you walk us through the years, the
for sure.
process, the struggle that's gone into everything to get where you're at?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. obviously, like a lot of people say, you start off when you're really young. So I was pretty young, uh, drawing. I was into fish. I was obsessed with fish. I was obsessed with fishing magazines. I read every Field and Stream, in Fisherman. I didn't hunt, but I still read every Field and Stream. It was just like anywhere I can pick up and absorb into fishing. There was no internet or anything like that, so you either had to wait for Saturday morning fishing shows to come on or read them in magazines. But I saw my first fishing log when I was 11 or 12, with guy who's basically like my uncle, but not through family, in Cape May, New Jersey, and he was a diehard surf caster, still is. He's getting up there, but if anybody here fishes Cape May Point, and you see, and John Beck, he's still out there with his bucket slaying fish left and right, and we still talk all the time. In his logs, he always kept tides, winds, fish count, numbers. So even now when I see him, he'd be like, I got 343 flounder this year, and I'm like, oh, great. And he always say, Paul, how many think we're keepers? And I'm like, I don't know. 50 is like 3, because there's like never any big fish in Cape May Point anymore on the surf, But so I got pretty obsessed from there. And that was when I was about 13. I started keeping my own logs and, drawing fish and all that. And I got into, I went to school for illustration in Sarasota, Ringling School of Art and Design, which still, I fished in Sarasota. My God, I fished almost every day in college. It was fantastic. Fishing is still what I think some of the best I've ever had, in my life. Fishing flats, inshore, snook, reds, trout. And I started logging pretty heavy.
How many
in
classes
college.
did you miss?
And like just, oh man, I missed. I had the bad part was in my classes I always drew fish, so my professors always knew I was crazy about fishing. I fished with some of them that were into it, which was fun, but I also had this old beat up Jeep Wrangler, so I never had doors or a top on it. So I would drive through the campus to go fishing. I have like my rod sticking out, and I'd always see like my professor walk into class, and he'd see me, and I'd miss class because I'm off to get to the flats because the fishing was so good, So oh man, I'd get banged all the time on that. And I had this fantastic log, and it's like my lost log that when I graduated, I had this, so when you're in art school, you're taking electives that are like science and history and stuff like that. But, you're trying just to get through those classes because you're doing so much artwork. It's insane. And I had a science class, a biology class, where I was supposed to like write papers every week about observing different areas, and I never did. And then when I graduated, I turned in my fishing log as my final project instead of all the papers, just on a whim.
Yeah,
Because
you had
I
nothing
can't,
else,
I didn't
yeah.
want to get a bad grade in the class, nothing else. And my buddies and I, we took off and went to Key West that next morning, and I never came back to get my log. And that dude has like the best fishing log on, maybe he took up fishing after he
He
got
better
that
have.
log because he had everything like handed to him, like, yeah. So, you know, so from there, my fishing logs actually got me my first job, and that was at St. Petersburg Times as a news artist. I was an intern, and when they reviewed my portfolio, I had a decent portfolio, but I had some fishing log stuff in there, and they loved the journalistic quality, the informational graphic quality to them. So they hired me to work there for a little while, and that's where I kind of got involved in informational graphics. That took my logs to a whole new level because I was already kind of drawing how I catch fish, what I like, what I like to do to catch fish, what fish do, and I started to learn how to do this kind of stuff professionally. And then from there, I went to Asbury Park Press in Asbury, New Jersey, and I moved to Belmar, and I lived like 2 blocks from the beach, and I just surf fished every single day. And when I went to work, I worked on the hook, line, and sinker section, which was one of my main things to do there. Which some guys probably who are around may remember it, but it was like the heyday of newspapers. So you're talking a 16-page, well, not a heyday newspaper. So at least for me in my career was 16-page fishing section, complete with a big cover and maps of where the fish are, things like that. We did it weekly, and it was just an awesome time to, fish all night, come into work the next day, and then work on the fishing section, that kind of thing. But that, shortly after that, I wasn't there too long. It was probably around 2004. I ended up in New York City, and I was working for Asbury, for Associated Press, which was a big jump. And, obviously there's no fishing there, but the work was high level, and, you had to pick up a lot of skills working there. And it was there I kind of got roped in with Field and Stream on a freelance basis. I sent them a portfolio. I wanted to work there so bad, and they had this insanely talented art director, Neil Jameson, who's still one of the best art directors in the world. And obviously he's no longer there, but he called me right in. So I got to go into to Field and Stream, to the office, and meet everybody. And I started doing freelance for them back then. So, from there on, I basically just started piling up work, which was awesome. And I was very grateful to be a part of their team. And I think I've been in over 75 issues now, which
That's a lot, man.
I'm excited
That's quite
to
an accomplishment.
to say.
I mean, how stoked were you when you got
Yeah,
the
it's a
first
lot.
initial yep, you're on the team?
Oh my God! Like when they sent me the first gig, I remember sadly it was something on a Pebble Mine in Alaska, which I think is still ongoing, and it was basically the issues of Pebble Mine and why a strip mine like the Pebble Mine could ruin a fishery, a salmon fishery, and I had to do this half page on it. And man, I tell you what, I spent like 3 weeks just every night coming home from work and working on it. Like, now you do a job now, you want to do it in 6 to 10 hours, but back then it was like I couldn't stop. I wanted it perfect, so it all worked out. And I still get super pumped whenever anything comes up for them, or honestly for anybody, because now I do a lot of different places, and it's all still feels like I still get that giddy feeling when they're like, hey, you want to do this for us, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You really want me to do that for you?
So the
That
Pebble
kind of thing.
Mine one
It's been
was
great.
a little depressing, obviously for obvious reasons. What would you say
Yeah.
your most exciting assignment
Yeah.
was for Field and Stream, or maybe top three?
Oh man. Top three. Well, so as I worked with them more and more, they started giving me a little bit more wiggle room on things, which is great. Basically like, here's what we're trying to do. What's your vision on it? That kind of thing. You get multiple types of jobs. Sometimes you get a job that says, they say, this is what we want, or they'll say, we're trying to do X, Y, Z. What do you think? And I did a few pieces. I did one on fishing for pond bass, and summer fishing for pond bass and all the different water conditions, and what to use to catch them. And it was awesome. They sent me the gig, the size, and they're like, here's the info, what do you think about this? And I got to come up with like a cool layout that readers could basically follow through. Like, well, I'm fishing clear water, and these are the lures that I'm going to use. That was pretty fun. And then I also started doing some of their, they also have an accuracy issue for rifle shooting, and I started doing some of those, which was pretty cool. With like dealing with ballistics and what a bullet does when you're shooting 600 yards. And then we made a page, and this was all Neil's idea. Made a page that readers could take in their backyard and shoot,
That's
as a target,
genius.
and send it in. Like the best one would win an
That's
award,
such a genius
which was
marketing tactic.
awesome.
Oh my
So
God.
I did a few of those.
I'm gonna think of something along those lines for
It
fishing.
was fantastic.
I'm gonna brainstorm on that. Something you could. I'm not gonna say it out loud. I already got the idea. But
Yeah.
keep going.
Don't, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. But it's just little things like that, and then like just getting to know the editors and the writers really well, was awesome, and some of the artists that work for them, was great. And I still some of them are my dear friends. Like Joe Cermelli is one of my best friends, and we fish together all the time. I would have never met him if I didn't do work at Field and Stream back in the day, and I've worked on so much stuff with him. So like even the recent Meateater piece was with him, now that he's at Meateater. And So it's been a wild road. I'm still journaling as much as possible. My journals have changed a little bit. They're not as much as like, you know, I went out today and this is what the conditions are. They're more kind of like detailed pages on different places. Like, I've been fishing
Yeah.
this place for the last couple of weeks. Here's what I see, and here's what I'm learning about it. And then like researching it, like, my a couple buddies and I, we go to
Mhm.
Cuddyunk a lot. Well, we try to every year. We haven't recently because I keep having kids, but but if I'm researching it, I'm always writing something down and keeping it all in one spot so I could reference it in my
Yeah.
journal about
So let's
winds,
try to
tides, things
paint a
like that.
picture for the listeners that have never seen your artwork before, and your logs, because what
Yeah.
makes them so special, at least to me as someone who's checked your stuff out, is how the illustrations are intertwined with the logs themselves. So how would you, I guess, explain to someone who's never seen it verbally, like, what your log looks like?
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, so I feel like there's the way that I create, the way that I see things, right? Like I feel like there's a mix of something that's picturesque, like, just a beautiful, I mean, well, I'm saying beautiful, but I've got a lot of junky uh log pages, but something that's pleasing to the eye, like a nice action shot of your classic action shot of fish. But mixed in with that is a informational quality. It's a informational graphic walkthrough. Like I always, my logs are for me, but my work, I always try. I like to show process. I like to teach something, whether it's a cutaway of what a spot looks like, or a way a fish held behind a rock, or like the perfect drift, that I have to make that the fish that I caught, ate, or illustrating how I lost the fish, like how I lost the heartbreaking fish and how that all went down. And the way I kind of do that is to show the environment, to show the details that stick out in my mind. Um, and my work is light. I try to keep it light because it's just the way that I feel. Like if I catch a monster striper, for me to paint that the way it is in oil and representational, or acrylic or something tight, I don't remember it that way. It just feels stiff to me. I mean, I'm a mess, right? Like I'm fighting a fish, I'm tripping over stuff, I don't remember half the things I'm doing. Somehow I get the damn thing in and I land it. So I just remember pieces of it. So I like to kind of keep that feeling in my artwork. Like some of it, the fish is half drawn. I've got diagrams that are only showing certain informational qualities to it while leaving
Gotcha.
others out. That kind of thing.
Yeah, no, they're really cool, man.
Yeah.
If you
Thanks,
could,
man. I
maybe
appreciate
leave
that.
one to me
Thank
in
you.
your will, if I'm still around. You'll probably outlive me though. But with how hard I've been
I
fishing, I
don't know.
feel
I
like
don't
I
know
go on
about that.
these crazy Al inspired benders, and they take years off my damn life. But it is what it is. I mean,
That's
I
a
can't.
crazy
Ever since I
owl
met the
video.
guy, it's like now I'm crazy. So Al, if you're listening, thanks for everything. But anyway, what are you currently working on? What's the next move?
Yeah. I'm um I'm tight right now with time, man. Between being home, working from home, my wife working from home, two kids under four. It's been tough. It's been a tough year. Like I had to pass on some cool things that I could have made. Um, but actually just finished up a logo
Oh,
for
awesome, dude!
Meateater, for their
Congratulations.
fishing side of Meateater. So yeah, so you guys, that's going to be out eventually, and it's pretty cool. That was awesome. I was really pumped to do it. I got a couple paintings that I have to really get working on. I kind of put them on
Hmm.
on hold since March. Two trout. I got a tarpon piece I would love to concept for a really good friend and client. I have not been able to really tinker with that yet. So it's been good. It's been good. There's a bass piece that's going to come out in this fall, and outdoor life. I did it a long time ago. But it's going to print. So keep an eye out for that as well. So,
Cool.
a lot of stuff
Can't wait to
happening,
see
which is
it.
good.
Let me ask you this
Yeah,
before
man. You and me both.
I guess so-called lull in the painting. How long would the average painting take for you?
Oh man, I
So
don't
all
know.
about your
It's all
schedule, probably. I mean, it seems like
time
yeah,
wise, like
whenever you can find the time.
it's all, yeah.
Yeah.
You're juggling so much. Yeah, yeah, and like editorial work is fast paced, and by fast paced, I mean like you
Hmm.
you probably have about 2 weeks to do it, and 2 weeks, given 2 weeks on something, it's to me is a long time. I'm fast. I can work fast, but
Like go
there's also
fishing.
like 15 other things that have to get done. So you're always juggling. Yeah,
Everybody I
yeah,
talk to in the
exactly,
game, like the fishing
exactly. Like
industry,
go fishing.
who is making a living off it to one extent or the other. There's like a serious issue with balancing the
Yeah.
fishing and the business side of it, because like you
Oh,
want to make money, you want to make a living off it, but you also still want to enjoy you know the sport itself. It's a tough balance.
it's very true, and it's very much that way now. Like I've got a day job that keeps me real busy, and it's really important to me, and I do this as well, and this is my
Yeah, yeah,
future. Like this is what I want to do
yep.
forever. Like I'll never not do this. So but then it becomes like with two kids home and everything going on a Thursday morning, I'll be like, well, I can get up at 4 a.m. and go fishing, or I can get up and I can work on something till 7. And I might do that instead, unless like it's the right winds or right
Yeah, if
tides,
all things are
or
aligning for the fishing,
yeah,
then the work is
I'm
definitely getting put on hold. Absolutely.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
just no way
exactly.
around that. Sorry. Sorry. So you've been fishing around New
Hmm.
York City for like 20 years. So let's talk about some of your personal fishing
Yeah, close to
experiences
it.
specifically around this area.
Yeah, man. New York City, and to obviously, I'm sure you feel it, and everybody in the club feels it, but like, I never ever wanted to live in New York City. I mean, I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania. I lived in Florida. I lived in Jersey. I never, but like, what I didn't know about New York City was we have such an amazing fishery around the city. It's insane, right? Like you got striped bass, you've got trout, you've got the lakes. You can go upstate and catch salmon,
Yeah.
and steelhead. You got so much around here. So I first my first I fished Jersey a lot. Of course, when I worked at Isbert Park Press, I fished my ass off there every day, except for Saturdays and Sundays. I stopped fishing on the weekends, but every weekday, I fished. From probably 3 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I'd work and I'd do it the next day and the next day, and it was awesome. And so that was kind of like I worked my way up, and then once I came to New York, I started kayak fishing Stony Brook area, North Shore, and I started like I had a really good friend, one of my best friends I grew up with that lived out there. He was going to Stony Brook University to become a scientist, which he does. He's now a scientist for the government. Lives out in Montana. Bastard. He sends me like photos of him fishing on his lunch break.
Oh my
But
God.
uh, so we would go out. I'd leave work on Friday. And we'd launch the kayaks Friday night, and we'd stay out till Sunday afternoon. So we'd just stay out in the sod banks in the North Shore and just fish. The only time we'd come in was somebody would come in and we'd jump in the car and go to Dunkin' Donuts to get like rations.
Yeah.
So caught a ton of fish on the North Shore, and from there I ended up, you know, work. Obviously, everything leads to Montauk, so I started, getting involved pretty heavily in Montauk, and I was lucky. I met some good buddies who became, I mean, guys who became good buddies, who grew up fishing Montauk. So it cut down my learning curve a ton out there. Fishing with guys who constantly put up big fish, know the areas, know like the secret ways to get to certain spots and things like that. So I started wetsuiting a lot. I still do it a lot, but I don't get to go out as much with the kids.
Yeah.
But I would spend all fall in Montauk during those years. And then once I moved up to Westchester. So from I lived in Jersey City for a while. That's when I was fishing Montauk, North Shore, and I moved to Westchester. Still was fishing Montauk when I moved to Westchester, but the Westchester fishery, in the Long Island Sound is fantastic. I'll go on a whim and I think it's even better than surf fishing in Jersey was, at least for numbers. Like I always caught fish up here.
And you got the
Jersey,
freshwater aspect too.
You got the freshwater
go
aspect.
Catch lake trout and then go catch striped bass.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm obsessed with carp. Like I love my summers. I could go all summer just fly fishing for carp. I love it. And there's so many waterways up here that have tanks in them, and they're hard as hell to fool on a fly rod, but they're there and nobody's touching them.
Yeah.
So, but as Westchester's a pretty interesting fishery, right? Like it's there's not much access.
Yeah, you kind of have to find some ninja trails.
You got to find some ninja trails.
So let's hear some ninja stories, because I know when we previously spoke, you mentioned that you've been on quite a few ninja missions. And for any listener that doesn't know what that means, a ninja mission. I mean, Mike, how would you explain it?
Basically, you're creeping into a place that you're not supposed to be, and you're trying to go as undetected as possible.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, that's basically it, man. It is. I don't do it anymore. I only did it for a few years because once the stakes started getting high, I'm like, do I really want to get?
Yeah.
Like, is this something going to get arrested?
I want to get arrested for trespassing, trying to catch a lake trout. I don't know.
Yeah.
The older you get, the less you want to get arrested for trespassing.
Oh yeah, yes. But then once you get kids, you're like, no. Then you wait till you're like you're getting up in age, and you're like, I'll get arrested now. I'm 65. Who gives a shit? But yeah, no. It was there are a lot of parks in Westchester that are private, especially once you get up through Connecticut. And they are hard asses. Like you can't, if you don't have a permit to get in, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about this like the city ones that you just pay $10 and park. It's like the ones where, so I used to be able to get into those all the time at sunrise. They'd open up their gates, and I would just park in line with all like the type A runners that were getting out there to go for their jog, and I would just roll right into the parks. But they kind of cracked down on that. So for a while, I was parking like a mile away and like walking in, and then when I would get close to the parks, I would cut through somebody's yard and jump into the water, and I'd swim. I just wear a wetsuit. I'd swim and figure like if the guy in the booth sees me, then he's got to come out, cross the marsh, and get into the water to yell at me to come back. So that worked a lot. And then I'd want to stay so it would get dark. So you kind of stick around. And they would usually patrol them.
And you just be floating around. You're like a goddamn Navy SEAL.
You just tuck in behind a bluff or a rock, and once the guy passes, you're good. You have all night. You're
really inspiring me to get a wetsuit,
dude. But you know what? I never really caught any more fish doing that. Like you would think it would be all worth it, right? Yeah. I would just catch just as much at sunrise as I'd catch at 10 p.m. So, but at the worst, like one time. And I'm not saying I did this. I'm just saying, let's say if I did this and I knew a guy who was working on very expensive houses in the Connecticut area and would know of a house that had work being done and the owners were not there, maybe that guy would park in their driveway with that said person and walk through the backyard into the water and then like fish untouched stretches of Connecticut.
Wow.
And I tried that.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah. I didn't say I tried that. I said I thought about that. But,
I know.
But the worrying of like an attack dog coming out and tearing you up was too much, and it just like I think that's
shot.
That one should probably
you were on some catch fish or die trying shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That one I feel like you get caught, you're taking a ride in a squad car.
Or an ambulance, either or. You roll the dice and see what happens. Yeah.
And again,
it's like I caught a 3-pound bass for it. Like, congratulations, you're going to jail.
Yeah. And I don't think I ever caught a fish doing it. I don't remember.
That's so funny.
So it's like it's
so
not worth
ironic, man.
It's just so not worth it.
Let me ask you this: what's the overall most hectic situation that you've ever gotten into while fishing?
Probably. Oh man, geez, there's been a lot. I've been stuck
We
places.
could
I've
do
had to
top
like.
three again if you want.
I've got. I've had hairy situations like where like I got into a situation once in Cuttyunk where it was me and three of my buddies were out and Cuddy, if you've ever been, it's just striper fishing paradise. It's amazing. There's hardly any people out there. There's fish, the fishing's pretty good, and it's just all boulder field. It's amazing.
Yeah, we've actually.
All walkable.
It's funny because we've actually got 6 club members up there right now on a club trip.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, it's the best.
yeah, they
I
do
mean,
it every
it'll
year.
kick your ass. You might not always catch fish, but
Oh
when you
yeah,
do,
no.
it's
Every time they come
fantastic.
back talking about how much they got their ass kicked, it's like they don't even mention like the first fish they caught. They're like, man, I got beat up out there.
Oh, dude, like I've gotten so tired there, where, if maybe it's like the third all-nighter where I just can't even get my feet under me. Like I get washed off a rock and I just bob around for a little while 'cause I'm so damn tired I can't, stand up. But I got clocked in the head on a rock pretty far out in Cuddy where I got snagged with a darter and I got so frustrated because I was tired. I probably shouldn't even been out that far, and it took me like hell to get out there. And I got snagged, and I ripped the hook, and I felt the rod pop up like a slingshot,
Oof.
and it just I luckily I had a hat on, so I put my head down, and it hit me right in the temple,
Oh,
and like my whole body went like pins and needles, like I almost like passed out and fell off the rock.
that could have been
And
it.
yeah, man. And
Oh my
that messed me
god.
up. I was okay. I had a big lump and I swam in and told my buddies about it, but like that messed me up. Like, so I was like, there's no more. I'm not pushing those limits,
Yeah.
And then I got into a situation at an unnamed spot out in Long Island, where I don't even think it's legal to fish it anymore. Guys still do. You'll probably figure it out by explaining it, but it's a long, long point in a huge tide area and you basically have a window to get out to the point on slack tide. And if the tide starts moving, you get washed off the bar. You're going to be drifting to like Block Island, like you're going to be adrift for a long time. There's nowhere to go. And I went out there with a buddy, and he talked it up, and I was all pumped up to go. But that day, I went out on a boat here in the Western Sound, and we just spanked fish. Like it was one of those days where you're supposed to be home at 9 a.m.
Yep.
and we didn't get home till 4, and we caught stripers all day. And it was like you're in the boat, and my body's so tired, and I go up there and I put on a wetsuit, and we're trying to get out to this point, and we're late. The tide's already moving. It's a high tide outgoing. And we get halfway out and we realize we can't go any further because the tide's going so hard and you can't go back. So luckily we found a little pyramid rock in the middle in the middle of this sandbar and sat on it with the tide ripping around us for probably a good 2-3 hours until the tide slowed down enough to get back in the water. And I was like, what the hell am I doing out here? And I remember sitting on this rock when my ass was numb, because it wasn't flat and there was a lightning storm coming. Like it was like the worst spot you could be in. And then when we finally got back in the water, we finally got out to where we were going to fish. I think I caught like a 19-inch striper on like the second cast, and that was it the whole night. We came back, and I was like, what the hell was that for?
Feeling totally humbled, just like
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I'll never fish that spot again. I can tell you that much. I don't even know if you're allowed to, but
that was it for that.
yeah. I don't recommend it.
What would you say your PB saltwater catches?
I got a probably a tarpon.
Okay.
I got a nice tarpon.
And by
Swam it
PB,
recently.
I don't mean like necessarily the biggest one, just like the most,
Oh.
maybe like the most memorable one, or both,
You got
whichever
it,
you
man.
want.
You got it. So definitely one of the best fish that I love is this tarpon I caught in Isla Morada. I was, down there for a week with my wife. We were driving up from Key West to Miami. a couple trip / fishing trip, and I was out tinkering on the dock and on the back of Chica Lodge, which is in Isla Morada, and I was gonna go out with a guide the next day, so I was just out there tinkering, and I hooked. I'm flinging a pencil popper because there were a ton of barracuda around, and I'm ripping this pencil popper, and I see this big tail come up behind it, and I'm like, what the hell was that? So I slowed it down, and the fish ate. It was a 65-ish pound tarpon, and the thing just went skyrocketing. I didn't have a big rod. I had a small rod of Anstall 150, and that thing just buried. I just emptied my reel on the first run,
Oh my God, I
and
bet.
and I was just basically like, say goodbye, like I'm gonna have this thing for probably a minute or two, and it's gonna shake off,
And
and
it's
I
gonna
ended up
be one of those ones that got away stories.
totally, and I was
Yeah.
all right with that because I saw the fish jump right in front of me, and I was like, this fish is, I'm not gonna handle this fish here.
Yeah.
I can't chase it, and but I ended up getting it in. And so I was super pumped up. Landed it. We let it go. Obviously, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna let it go. But when I let him go, a scale fell off, and one of the guys that I was fishing with grabbed it, and I still have that scale home. Which I wouldn't scrape one of those guys that take a scale, but I don't feel too bad about it since it fell off.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
but then
awesome.
I got another fish in Connecticut. I won't say where, but it's not where guys typically. It wasn't. I'll just say this. It wasn't like one of the rivers where guys catch these fish. But I got a sea run brown trout up here,
Wow.
and that was a pretty rare catch. And I was in a spot. There was just a little bit of an outflow pipe. I was actually fly fishing at that time, and I was catching schoolies on a streamer. And I
Oh, you
caught a
got it
couple
on the
schoolies.
fly.
Got on the fly. Yeah, I got on a
Wow.
streamer, and I got a couple schoolies, and then probably 6 10 casts later, I get in the, set the hook, and the fish went airborne. And this was pretty early in the season. I was like, what the hell? I said, well, it must be. I think it's like a blue. Is it a small blue? It's weird. Why would the bluefish be out here this early? So I kind of half-assed reeled it in, and when I got it in, it was a beautiful brown trout. Sea run brown. It was in the Long Island Sound.
That's
So
amazing. Did you
it was.
release it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was real gentle with it. But what killed me was I had my phone in the car, so I
Oh,
didn't even bring my phone because I was like, I'm not going to bring my phone. I'm just playing around. And I was like, I would have died to get a picture of that fish. And it wasn't huge. It was probably about 18 inches.
we still
19
believe you. We
inches.
still believe you.
That's all right. Yeah.
No, I mean sometimes like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the camera, the phone, sometimes it jinxes everything. So that might have been,
Right.
like I get superstitious in weird ways, and like I feel like you probably wouldn't even have caught that if the phone was there. I don't know.
I wouldn't have caught it,
That's just
man.
my personal analysis of that situation.
It's one of those fish. If I would have known what I hooked to, I wouldn't have caught it because I would have like blew it
You would have
somehow.
panicked and like just collapsed. So let me ask you this. What's the biggest sacrifice you made in order to not only become a great angler, but make a living off of fishing in general? Because it's not easy to do, either or.
No, man, it's not. It's probably what the sacrifice we all make, and it's definitely time, right? Like
Mm,
I don't know. For me, the time fishing is easy because it's just like I have to do it, and I'm going to be out in the water as much as I can. But I underestimated the amount of time it would take to create, and by underestimating, like, I've always been lucky that I've had a creative day job where I'm illustrating, painting, designing, making infographics, that kind of thing, and interjecting fishing into that. Um, and when I started doing freelance, I always had this dream. I'm like, someday I want to be like so slammed that I can't do anything. Like I just need to like start saying no to everybody and all these different things. And then like when it starts happening, it's really hard. It's like I've had years where I've worked day and night, weekends, holidays. Like Christmas morning, I'm working. You know, just juggling freelance jobs, things like that. So it's definitely time. Like before I had kids, I could press, press on that a little bit. I could push it a little bit,
Did you have a nice comfy doghouse like I do?
yeah, absolutely.
I got a TV in there. I got a little mattress. Me and my buddy were just joking about that yesterday because we've been on like a 4-day bender. That's why I sound tired. But
Nice.
yesterday, we're on the way home. I was like, I'm headed straight to the doghouse when I get home. He was like, me too. That's where I live most of the time. I was like, me too. But
oh, dude,
yeah,
that's how we operate, man. I'm pretty lucky. Like my wife's really understanding with everything. She knows it's just, and also it's it's part of my job. It's part of my career.
yeah.
But
that's the best excuse. That's the best. That's the best thing.
Yeah,
this is what I do for a living.
Yeah, I'm selling this. I'm selling this.
Yeah. I need content. I'm not going to get it on the couch here.
Yeah, right.
I know all about it, but still, that excuse, that card gets faded, gets old.
It's tough, man. In times like this, with, thank God, like everybody's healthy and we're busy with work and things like that. But for me to be like, hey, listen, I got to pull the card, like, I've been missing a few trips I've been dying to go on, but I'm gonna be like, oh, well, I'm out Thursday. I'm coming back Thursday night at like 11. So then my wife's got to take a day off of work right now. So she's like, it's not even like she can go to work and come home and be fine. She's got to take a vacation day.
So you're just like automatically doghoused. That's it.
Yeah. So I just can't do that to her.
Yeah. I feel you.
So I've been limiting everything early. And like we were talking earlier. I've been fishing. The New Croton Reservoir for the first time this year. I haven't done any still water fishing since I was a kid. I was really young.
Funny story about that spot. I fished that with Al once, and it was.
You fished with Al? Al fishes there?
One time I fished with him there on a friend's boat, and
nice.
It was like back when I still like thought fishing was a competition. Like I know my mindset has completely changed, mainly due to Al and other people that have influenced me, where it's just like I'm only competing with myself, and it's not even a competition anymore to me. I'm just happy to be out there. I'm happy to, like, I was out yesterday morning. I caught one dogfish for 4 hours, but I still got to see 2 shark fins come up, and I got to see, Spanish mackerel blitzing with birds on them. So it's really just, to me now, it's just about being able to be out there. I just feel blessed to be out there. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's a funny thing. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Not sure where I was going with that. What was
with
I saying?
Al and the
Croton. Yeah, it was the one time when I thought that I was gonna outfish Al. I had I had 9 largemouth bass, and he had 3, and we're on our last drift, and he pulls in an 8-pounder.
Oh,
just like, nah, son, don't ever think that when you're fishing with me. Don't ever try to think you're gonna outfish me, bro. And I was just like, I should have known. But man,
it's an interesting place, and
it's funny how people get competitive too. It's like I don't know.
Totally.
I've lost a lot of fishing friends just because, like, when they're fishing with me now, it's like, now that I have a bit of a rep as somebody who catches, they don't even want to fish with me to hang out. They just want to fish with me to be able to be like, yeah, I caught more fish than Vic, and when I pick up on that, that's the last trip you're going on with me. So
there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's it, man. It's not even about that. So I guess I'm gonna. One of the last questions I've got is where do you see the future of our fisheries going in the Northeast, specifically in saltwater, considering you spend so much time on the water?
It's interesting. Like, I felt like I started getting skunked a lot more in the last 5-10 years, right? Well, not 10 years, 5-6 years probably. But one thing that I've noticed, at least I've been fishing pretty hyper local right now. In the last couple of years, I have been, and I spend a lot of time in this water here. Rarely get skunked here. The fish might not be huge, but I'm getting them, right. And then I end up getting some nice fish here and there. But one thing I kind of noticed that I haven't really noticed before is, like, after a good rain here, like right now, it's raining pretty damn hard here, and I guarantee you, I think the tide's pretty good tomorrow morning. If I were to go out tomorrow morning, I bet you I will not see a fish.
Mm.
And I find that pretty interesting. And I think, it's a combination of things like, you know, shit getting washed into the water
Yeah,
from
like
the
runoff and
highways,
shit. Yeah.
runoff, agriculture, sewage overflow, things like that. And
That's a
I've
big
I've
problem here
noticed
in
it a lot.
NYC.
It is. And I know it's getting better. I've got, friends catching weak fish up here. That's kind of new. They've been gone for a long time, and I know they're kind of a sign that the water's cleaning up. Um, so hopefully that's a good sign. But that kind of stuff, man, like our area is only getting more crowd. Well, might not be getting more crowded anymore with
Yeah, a
coronavirus.
lot of people have
That
left.
might reverse that. Yeah, but just with the density here, I really like this year is the first year where I won't eat. I'll scrap it. If I'm gonna fish at night or the next day and it's raining for a day or two, I won't even go. I'll give it at least a day for a few tides to wash out because I know I'm gonna whatever I throw tomorrow is not gonna get touched. It's
That's
pretty
kind of how
crazy to
I
me.
feel about like an east wind. Like I'm just not going anymore. I don't
Oh,
know.
dude, forget it. Eat what East Wind on Long Island?
Uh, east wind anywhere, dude.
East Wind anywhere? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
just like,
Straight east? No,
yes. I
forget it,
mean,
man.
I've caught fish in east winds, but for the most part, that old saying, wind from the east, fishing's at its least,
Oh
is
no, right.
pretty damn true in my book. I don't know.
I, I used to play them where I'd be like, well, it's a south wind. I'm going to Long Island. I'm going to Montauk. If it's a if it's a west wind, I'm gonna go to Jersey. Because like the south wind is always terrible for me in Jersey, unless it's like a weird time of year where it's like, mid June and the bunker schools are there and the water's getting warm and the south wind cools things off a little bit. I've caught fish then, but the south wind's fantastic for me. I've done fantastic for that in Montauk and Long Island. So same thing with the west winds. The west winds have always done pretty good in Jersey, but the west winds like the kiss of death. For me, whenever I fished Long Island,
Gotcha.
you know,
Yeah.
so I hear you.
Everybody's got their own thing. Do you believe in the banana superstition? Or do you have any of your own little superstitions? Like I have my own little ones, but what are yours?
Yeah, I got little ones, man. I gotta have like I've got certain hats for certain conditions.
Absolutely, I'm with that.
Like the
Yep.
hats, the hat's a big game. I got big fish hats. I got number
That's what
hats.
Wetzel was saying on the last podcast. He's like,
Was he? Oh yeah, he
I got
was.
these two
Yeah,
hats, man.
yeah. No. That's huge for me.
God knows how
Uh,
they smell because I know my lucky hat is like, Jesus, I gotta wash that probably when I get home tonight. It
early.
doesn't wash the luck off though. At first
No,
I was like, I can never wash this, but then it got bad.
it's dude, it's true. Like my wife, early in our relationship, she washed my hats. It's like, what are you doing? Don't wash them. You're washing off all the good stuff. And she's like, you're out of your mind. Like who did I marry? You know. But definitely the hat thing. I had weird things like songs that would play. And I don't even know what's funny about it is I don't even know the damn artist or the song, but it was like back when we didn't have satellite radio, and like I would get up every morning to fish in Jersey, and I would just have top whatever, like the I rock on or
Uh-huh.
something like that. And if there would be a certain song will come on in the morning when I'm going fishing, like, you know what, it's gonna be a good day, and I'd catch fish,
Yeah.
which was always funny.
We've actually had one recently, and I don't know how this one became it because I'm not even a Pearl Jam fan, but Daughter by Pearl Jam.
Oh, nice. All right.
Every time we throw that one on, like we were on a porgy trip the other day and we were not catching, and I said to one of the guys, yo, throw on Daughter by Pearl Jam. They're like, what? Put it on. All of a sudden we were all catching fish. It's been working. I don't know how long it's gonna work. Some of these songs run out of mojo, but
Dude,
we'll
yeah,
see.
I know.
We'll
I
see.
love all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
man.
sometimes when I have to get into the zone too, I'll chew a piece of mono It's kind of weird. I don't know what it is.
Just become a fish.
It's just become this thing that's happened from all the years of tying leaders quickly and switching leaders that I'll like bite
just
a piece off.
chewing like 40-pound mono, like gum.
Dude, yeah.
Like...
Instead of spitting it out, it's just in my mouth, and I don't even know it's there. Like an hour will go by, and I'll still have a piece of mono in my mouth because you get like so dialed in, and
you've definitely got like small bits of mono in your digestive system for sure.
Yeah, I know. I was up in the New Croton last weekend. I'm rowing around. I've been trying to. My goal. I have to get a carp over 30 pounds. And I want to get it on the fly rod, and I know I could do it up there. I just have to like figure out the pattern, right? So I've been rowing around a lot in the mornings into the coves trying to find one of these fish stage up.
Yeah.
And I've got a series of flies, crayfish, things like that. I'm going to throw at them on the rod, and all day, man, not all day, but all morning, I'm rowing around. And by the time I get back to pull the boat, I realize I had mono in my mouth. And I probably tied that leader when I launched the boat, So I'm like, oh, geez, man, I got to really calm down a little bit.
You need to go to mono rehab, dude. But listen,
yeah,
we're actually at time.
Cool.
I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours.
Yeah, likewise.
But please put that 8:15 trip for City Island in your schedule if you can.
Oh, dude, let's do it.
It's going to be a blast.
I would come just to putter around on the skiffs all day.
It's so much fun.
And yell at each other.
It's so much fun. Yeah, we harass each other, and it's a great time. It's a really great time. I've pushed the limits. I've almost hit a. I'm not even going to say anything because I don't want anybody from Jack's Tackle listening, but
yeah,
I always deliver the boats back
Jack.
Unscathed. Don't worry. Need that deposit back, Jack. So
there you go. There you go.
But anyway, Mike, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I know the fans do too, and I'm stoked that this is the first episode from season 3. It's gonna be great.
Likewise.
Thank you
guys
for
on the
everything,
water.
Man. Yeah, I'll see you there, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye. If you'd like to learn more about the Brooklyn Fishing Club, visit brooklynfishingclub.com. It includes info on membership, upcoming events, fishing trips, and more. Don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram @Brooklyn Fishing Club. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.